Hi, good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing? Welcome to brand new week. My name is George Essien, and we will continue our series on how to raise funds for your business. And if you followed us last week, I'm hoping that you follow us this week again. We'll continue our conversation about making money, managing money, and multiplying money. We're talking about how to raise funds for your business. Last week, we talked about venture capitalism, or what we call who a venture capitalist. And just for the sake of those who are just joining us for the first time, we said that one way to raise funds is to look out for venture capitalists. A venture capitalist is someone who will give you money, or who can give you money, but would expect a stake, would expect interest, would expect to have a share, be a shareholder in your business. So usually we have venture capitalists. Stripe Masinwa, that man in Zimbabwe who lives in London, very popular guy. He falls into that category of a venture capitalist. Tony Elumelu, who runs the Tony Elumelu Foundation, where people who have great ideas can apply and get $5,000 and above, falls into that category of somebody who is a venture capitalist. The founder of Alibaba, Jack Ma, also falls into that category of somebody who is a venture capitalist. So look out for venture capitalists. Sometimes your idea needs support from people. There are venture capitalists around the world. In America, that's very commonplace. You have people who are venture capitalists who support your work. We also talked about last week angel financing or angel financiers. Angel financiers are people who will give you money without the expectation of returns. They just support. And we have angel financiers everywhere. In 2007, I was privileged to meet an angel financier that kick-started my business. And one of the prayers most startups and entrepreneurs have is they're looking for people who can kickstart, who can give them funding without necessarily asking for anything in return. And then we emphasized about partnership last week. We said that partnership is another way to raise funds. And we said that when a man of money meets a man of ideas, exchange occurs. What that means is that if you have a great idea and somebody has resources, the person that has ideas can get money from the person who has resources. So you can seek partnership. And we spelled out the conditions for partnership last week. We said that for you to get involved in any kind of partnership, number one, the partnership doesn't have to be forever. That you should have a time frame where you evaluate, and so okay, after 6 months or 7 months we can reevaluate this partnership. It doesn't have to be forever. We also said that in partnership you must identify who is the leader of the project. All right, don't just because the person has resources doesn't mean that he has to be the leader. And then we also mentioned that when we discussed partnership. We also talked about BOT and BOD. BOT means Board of Trustees. If you start a foundation, if you want to start a foundation or an NGO, understand that that's a great idea. One of the fastest ways to raise money is to put together, assemble a board. A board of trustees is common among people who start foundations and NGOs, charity foundations, churches. They have board of trustees. The quality of people that you put in your board of trustees will also determine the quality of funding you would access and advice and connection. Sometimes they may not give you money, they may give you referrals. And the beautiful things about BOT or board of trustees is that they don't necessarily have to be part to gain interest. Basically, they're there in the advisory capacity. In an advisory capacity, they're there to give you support, connect you, and so on. So you need BOT, board of directors, board of trustees in your foundation. And for you to get a foundation running, which is, by the way, a very fantastic idea, because by having a foundation running, you can access funding from donor agencies. You can access funding from people from all over the world. And this is so good. So we also said last week that a good foundation has structure, okay? It has correct documentation. You must have documentation. And then, we said structure and documentation. You must document everything that you have. That's how to assess funding. Usually, our organization, our foundation has received funding from some foreign organizations, and usually They will ask you for what's your structure, what's your let's show us your organogram. They also ask for your documentation. Have you been documenting things? And then of course you must show capacity. That's the third thing. Structure, documentation, and then capacity. By the capacity we mean that have you done something of that caliber, that project before? They want to look back at your history, so you need to have pictures. So anywhere you're doing anything you're doing, you put snap pictures, do videos, get testimonials. It's very important because it enables you to raise money. It shows that you have capacity for the resources you're looking for in the future, and this is so important. We also talked about board of directors. We said that board of directors are people who can join your business, especially if you're doing a limited liability stuff. They can join your business, join you, and then give you money to start your business and expect a shareholding or stake, much like the venture capitalists, just that the board of directors, they are inside your business. So those are the various ways we looked at when we talked last week. I think we also looked at pre-orders, and this is very common among people who are publishers who have books. They are publishing ebooks, online courses, online books. Basically, you see people say, you know what, if you order this book at this price, if you order the book ahead of time, it's launching out on the 31st of May, but if you order the book at this time, we will give you a discount. The book is not yet published, so that's a very powerful strategy. So pre-orders come with discount. There's a price that is supposed to come out with when it's launched, but they're saying pre-order ahead of time. That way customers can give you money. I'd like you to write this down on your note. One of the ways to raise money is you can either raise money from investors or you can raise money from customers. Always put that at the back of your mind as an entrepreneur. You can either raise money from investors or you can raise money from customers. And to raise money from investors, you need to determine what they stand to get. And investors can either be members of the board of directors, they could be board of trustees, they could be partners, they could be angel financiers, investors could be venture capitalists. We also talked last week about third-party guarantee or third-party guarantor. A third-party guarantor is somebody who stands in your stead, who says, bank, give this guy money, I shall see him. I know that he will pay back. A third-party guarantor is someone who says, bank or friend, give this guy money, I stand for him. I give the guarantee. If he fails to pay, I will pay. So those guys can also give you money, and you can look out for them. They are individuals. They fall into the category of investors. So another way, so if you cannot reach out to investors to give you money, you can reach out to customers. Now customers, for customers, you do what is called pre-orders. You get them to pay ahead so they can, you communicate the value of your product, of your service, of your product well enough, then they give you money for you to go produce the product to sell to them, especially when they're getting at a discount. So that is what we talked about. We talked about BOD, BOT, partnership, angel financing, venture capitalism, pre-orders, and third-party guarantee. And if you pay attention to all of these things, realize that we said one of the things that will allow people to give you money is when, pay attention now, is when your idea is sound. Because you see, investors crave for information. People who nobody will just give you money. In fact, investors don't fund startups. Banks rarely fund startups. And we'll talk about loans in the future. Maybe if we cannot finish it today, we'll look at it in the future about loans and how to assess loans. But banks and investors rarely fund startups because of their inexperience. One quality that a lot of investors are seeking and looking for is experience and capacity. So you need to develop that capacity, and the capacity will be revealed or shown in the way you put your ideas together. Your ideas must be written down, must be put together as a plan and as a strategy. And we said that when your ideas are written down, they are plans. When your ideas answer every question that may crop up in the mind of the investor, then it's a plan, and it's headed towards a strategy. When your idea has a way of entering into the minds of the market, minds of the people, entering the market, then it's a strategy. And that is what sells. It's when a man of money meets a man of ideas, exchange occurs. This happens only when the idea is sound. So you have an idea. How sound is it? Have you authenticated the idea? Have you made the idea profound? Have you made the idea such that people can buy into it? Because you see, vision attracts provision. Your vision or the idea that you have should be so good that people are willing to part away with money for it. So we looked at all of this last week when we started talking about money, and we said these are the ways you can explore to raise funds for business. And then we started talking about savings. Now I know that there are a lot of financial people, financial investors who will tell you, don't save. Anyone who tells you that is not doing you a favor. Now you don't save for saving's sake, you save for investment's sake. People tell you don't save, invest. Okay, so if you're going to invest your money, invest in what? Invest with who? Okay, those are questions you want to ask before you start thinking of investing. Invest in what? With who? So before you invest your money, you've got to think, and you've got to be very sure you don't end up losing all the money you've saved. Savings is a very important way to raise money. Usually, investors, people who want to support you, will ask you, how much do you have already? How much money do you already have in your hands? How much do you have already in your hands? What are we talking about here? How much money are you willing to risk? Okay, so you need to start learning to save. It's a culture that most of us don't have. When we were much younger, we used to have a piggy box, a box where we can save money, teach your children how to save for investment, save for this and that. And that's one thing you need to work on so that you can get customers, you can get people or investors to invest in you. So money meets money, not money meets nothing. Money must meet money. Saving is important. Saving is so very important. And that culture of thrifts, that culture of thrifting, of being thrifty, is a culture you see in the Jews, it's a culture you see amongst the Igbos, it's a culture you see among the Yorubas, and we are very proud of those guys. The culture you're seeing among, so people can adopt that culture where you save, gradually save. There is no man who is successful, financially successful, who did not set aside a part of his money. 10% of the resources I make, whatever amount of money I make, is saved aside. Is saved. So important. I mentioned this. Now, before I go into the next way to raise money, let me ask you a question. What makes you a millionaire? Is it when you make 5 million naira, when you have 5 million naira in your account? Okay? No. What truly makes you a millionaire is when you have cash flow, at least a cash flow of at least $1 million naira monthly. What makes you a millionaire is not when you have 5 million naira in your account. What truly makes you a millionaire is when you have at least 1 million naira coming into your account, into your you have a system, a cash flow of 1 million naira coming to your account monthly. That's what makes you a millionaire, not the presence of cash. This is so important. So savings, learning to save for investment is critical. How else do you raise money in business? Please, I'd like you to take down notes, because you see, when you come to classes like this, we're giving this quality information for free on this platform. And what we're also going to do is, I'm going to make sure it's available on YouTube so that you can watch it again and again and listen, because some questions you ask, when you go begging for money, it's not proper. When you ask certain questions, I need to raise money, and your conversation is, if only I had money. And when we do a check on your structure, when you do a check on your documentation, when we do a check on your capacity, we realize that you do not deserve the money. Capital must come to meet capital. Capital must come to meet capacity, rather. Capital must come to meet capacity. Capacity precedes capital. You need to have capacity. You need to have documentation. You need to have structure. You need to prepare ahead of time. And this is so vital. So how else do you raise money as an individual? Now pay attention. Another way to raise money for any project is to sell. Nothing succeeds until somebody sells. You can sell anything. I mean, I have people who come to me and say, George, ladies especially, George, I want to start a business, and I ask them, what do you have in your hand? What can you sell? What can you sell? So I don't have anything to sell. I say, you can sell something. If you can sell, for example, you can sell your talents. You can sell your talents. You don't need capital to sell your talents. I mean, what capital does the MC need? He just needs his microphone. And your voice. You don't need talent to sell your you don't need capital to sell your talent. And one way to easily trade and raise money is to sell. That's the first way to raise money. Sell something. You can sell your talent. Another thing you can do is that you can sell your liabilities. So what are liabilities? A lot of us have liabilities in our lives right now. What are liabilities? Liabilities are those things, those properties, those acquisitions we have that drain us of cash. They keep taking money away from us. They keep taking money away from us. Or those properties or acquisitions that we have that have high maintenance value. Take note of that. High maintenance value or take money from you. Anything that you have that has high maintenance value or take money from you is a liability. And sometimes, in order to raise cash, you will need to sell your liabilities. Sell them off. Those things that have high maintenance value. What is it in your life that's a liability? Is it your or high maintenance value? Is it your car that keeps taking money from you? Is it whatever it is in your life around you that's a liability? You can dispose of it. Dispose of that liability and invest in an asset. That's how to sell. You sell it. Another thing you can sell is you can sell your assets for bigger projects. Maybe you have a massive project. You already have an existing asset. An asset is anything you possess, a business, an idea, a concept, an intellectual property, a physical product, that you can dispose of for a bigger project. You can dispose of. We've had people who had businesses, they sold off that business they had so that they can raise capital for another project. All right, so you can sell your assets. Now, when we talk about raising capital is not only an idea for people who don't have money. Raising capital is also an issue for people who have money. So your business can either be capitalized, your business can also be undercapitalized, okay, and your business can be overcapitalized. There are businesses that are overcapitalized, and because they have so much money, and if they have that system will collapse, totally collapse. So your system over. So if it's overcapitalized, then of course you need systems, you need leadership too. Then there are sometimes your business are undercapitalized or has no capital at all. That's what. So let's talk about another way to sell, especially for those who already have money, who already have resources, and they want to go to the next level. How do you raise capital? How do rich people raise capital? One way rich people raise capital is to sell money. Write that down. You sell money. Question is, how do you sell money? How do rich people sell money? Now, rich people sell money in recession. Oh, I'm just giving you wisdom now. You need to pay attention to this. Rich people sell money in the recession. Right now, most countries are in a recession and people are looking for money. And for those who have a strong saving culture, who have a strong, stable business that has capital, spare cash, what they will do now, what they do to get richer is to take that money they have and start to sell the money or start to give loans to other people. So rich people who have capital, in order to raise more money, is that they take that money and start to sell that money to people who are looking for resources. Now, when you buy that money as a loan, they're going to get interest on it. Now, that interest they have is the capital they're raising on top of the money they've sold. Now, if they don't get interest on the money they've given to you, one of the things that rich people will get from you is what is called a collateral. Chances are that you may not be able to pay back the rich guys, so they have access to your capital, collateral, which they can dispose of and make more money. You see how they think? So during a recession, to raise more money, rich people sell money to gain interest or to gain collateral. So one way to think, every time you want to raise money, think, what can I sell? What can I sell? What can I sell? What do I have that I can sell? There's always something you can sell. Something you can sell. Okay, so you don't have anything at all. You can sell your talents. Your talents, your giftings. You can sell your skills. You can bring your skills. You can trade it in the market space and get resources. You can sell resources, your information. Do you know that information is currency? Are you aware of that? That the information you have, quality information, access to people, information about certain projects is currency, ideas, knowledge. You can sell that information, and then raise capital. Do you know that you can sell asset? Maybe you already have an existing asset and it's probably not doing as much as you want it to do, but you know that it has some value. You've evaluated it and you want to take it to the next level. You can sell that asset and take your project to the next level. And of course, you can sell liabilities. There are things you have right now that serve as liabilities that you can sell. All right, so let's move on to another way to raise money. Selling is a very fantastic way to raise money. Another way to raise money is to barter. Barter is old school way. But beautiful thing about barter is that barter enables you to exchange what you already have for something else. Barter enables you to exchange value for what you have. So in those days, you have yam and I need beans. Okay. You have yam, I have beans. You need beans, I need yam. We exchange of value. So another way is to look for ways to exchange value. Let me give you a typical example. One of those days, I wanted to use a hall for a training for an award ceremony. The hall was supposed to cost me 300,000 naira. Now, as at that time, that was 2010 or 2012, I did not have 300,000 naira to give to the owners. But I do know that the owners of that facility, they were so worried about customer service, they worried about sales, and so I looked for a need they had, and I realized that being involved in training, I could help them solve that problem. So I went with them, communicated the value to them, told them, look, I can help you solve your customer service issues and sales issues. This is what it's worth. And then after negotiation and conversations, we agreed that it was worth 300k. So in exchange for the venue, all right, I got to train their people for 3 days on customer service, corporate culture, and target actualization. And then I got the venue for 300k. That is a typical example of barter. So you can creative fundraising helps you start thinking barter. What can I barter? What can I give that is valuable to this person in order to get either the money or the resources I require? You can barter. Now let me go to another very interesting thing, and it's very common among all of us here. Another way we raise money. One way we raise money in Africa and all around the world is through launching. Have you heard of launching before? People will launch books, people will launch their album. And some people have terrible experiences about launch, because when they launch, they pay for the venue, they invite the right letters to a lot of people, and they expect that a crowd will come out. And in launching, you have very few people come up for the launching. Has it happened to you before? I'm sure that's happened to you if you've ever, or someone that's happened to. So for me, I'm going to show you a very interesting way to do your launching, and you still get results without having to lose all money. Because people in an attempt to raise money through launching lose the money they even already have. So they publish the book, they've done all of that, and then people don't show up for that event. People don't show up for launching because they are put on the spot. The chairman of education is worried about not saying a figure that does not befit his status. People are afraid of making promises. People make promises in launching and don't get to fulfill their promises, because of the challenge of launching, the fact that they are on the public eye and they have so many launches to go for. So what do you do to launch and raise money? Now, there are many ways you can launch. First of all, you can launch online. All right, so it doesn't have to. You can launch online and get people to, like the pre-order strategy we mentioned, and get people to buy in. So fantastic way. Or if you want to do offline launching, let me show you how to raise money through offline launching. I did it myself. So in 2012, I had a book I wanted to publish. Now that book, I did like 50 copies of that book. I was supposed to do 1,000 copies. All right. Now instead of calling people to come to a venue for a launching, I took the launching to them. I wrote a very powerful letter telling them about my product. I call it Project something. I don't want to mention the details. I call it Project this. The idea was to distribute for free over 1,000 copies of that book to people in certain areas, to young people in certain areas, and it was going to solve this problem. And I wanted them to be part of it. And I told them I had done only 50 copies, and that the subsequent copies that will come out will have their names. I will acknowledge every one of them in the acknowledgement, but there was a preparation for that. So all they had to do was give me a certain amount of money. So I categorized the partnership into different categories. I said, okay, for those who will give me, I know that if you as a big person, you can afford to give me $1 million, but I don't want $1 million. There are different packages. So we have the platinum package. The platinum package goes for 50K and above. We have the gold package. The gold package goes for 25K and above to 50K, 25K to 50K. Then we have the silver package. The silver package goes for 10K to 25K. Then we have the bronze package. The bronze package goes from 5K to 10K. So that's, and I told them that whatever thing we are going to acknowledge you and all of that. I had for that. I said I'm going to also send you a plug that shows that recognizes you as part of this project. So I did a letter to them. Out of 100 people that I sent letters to, about 20 or 30 of them responded to it and they were interested. And most of them went for either the silver 10,000 naira and the bronze 5K. Just by doing that, I told them I was giving them a month to do it. In less than a month, I started receiving all kinds of alerts. We were able to raise close to 500K or more, and money kept spilling because at some point we couldn't track the details anymore. 500K and more just by doing that simple strategy, by sending letters to them. And that way we published the book, did 1,000 copies of the book, acknowledged all of them and distributed it. So that is a more creative way to do launching, rather than wait for people to come to a place and then you feel disappointed. Why don't you take the launching to them by using that very simple strategy? All right, so another way to raise funds. So launching is another very interesting way to raise funds. Now, one way to raise funds is called grants. Write it down. Now, do you know that there are people, especially in this COVID-19 era, there are organizations who are looking for individuals, and not just individuals, organizations, businesses that have structure. If there's anything you want to write down and you want to pick away from this live class, is this: structure, documentation, capacity. You say you're a startup business, you have a business name registered, okay? And I told you last week that it's important, very important, that you register everything that you do. Do not do any business without it being registered. Register it. Go to CAC. To get a business name registered is 10,500 naira. Go get your business registered. That's when you're serious in business. Then to do a limited liability can cost you between 50K to 100,000 naira or less. I don't know, 50K to 100,000 naira. To do a foundation, to get a foundation registered, you need about 150K to 200K. Now, realize that registering your business is so vital because it gives you credibility, and that credibility shows that you have capacity. That credibility shows that you're ready for the funding you're looking for. After you have done those registrations, the next thing you want to do is you want to get a corporate bank account. Do not do business with your personal account. Whenever you do business with your personal account, you are positioning yourself as a contractor, as a businessman. Do business with your company account. So with a business name, you can have a bank account registered. With a limited liability, you can have a bank account registered. With a foundation, you can have a bank account registered. Now, funders, people who give grants. What's a grant? A grant is money given by organizations or individuals to people who have capacity, without expectation of returns. So like I got 10 million grants. I've gotten grants. I've gotten angel financing. I've gotten grants, and there are many grants in the world. There are many grants. As a matter of fact, we're expecting some grants. My foundation. I have a registered business. I have a limited liability business. I also have a foundation registered. And so my foundation is also expecting some foreign donors are sending in some huge euros to us because we have positioned ourselves. We have structure. By structure, that you have a BOT. A BOT is board of directors or board of trustees. In your organization, your business is registered. You have an organogram. You have, the next thing is documentation. Documentation simply means that you have started off what you're already supposed to be doing. Now, most of you want people to give you money when you have not started off. How do you know that business you're doing work? How do you know it's going to work? So you've got to start off. Money will meet a working idea. Money will meet a working idea. Money will meet a working idea. So start off with what you have, where you are, with the resources you have. Start off, then money meets you. So document. Then in doing that, you snap pictures, you get testimonials, you write reports of all the things you're doing, and that shows that you have capacity. You create systems. I tell people, I say, look, even though my business is not a very big business, we have records of every money that has ever come into this business from the day we started. Every resource, every money, we have a strong accounting system, even in software. And you don't have to be big to get to that point. You can start with what you have, whether you're a church, a ministry, an organization. Usually when people want to give you grant, they will ask you, send your bank statement. They say, let us see your books, let's see your records, let's see your structure. So you can access grants when you are prepared. It is better to be prepared and not have opportunity than to have opportunity and not be prepared. So grants are available, lots of grants. Just Google up lots of grants. But you know the interesting thing, most of us have great ideas, but we have not packaged ourselves, we have not positioned ourselves to receive these grants. We have not positioned ourselves to receive these grants. Many grants for women, for girl child education, for health, for entrepreneurs. There are funders, there are seed fundings for entrepreneurs. People think of just Tony Lemelu all over the world. Even people that fund African startups, people that fund African foundations, people that fund businesses, but they need to know their conferences, their fellowships, their networks you can have, that you can access great funding, but you need to be prepared. And if that's what I'm going to leave you with today in fundraising, is that you don't deserve a money you're not prepared for. There are certain monies that you receive and you collapse. Your entire structure will collapse. You need to be prepared for the resources that you're expecting. You need to have a solid plan. You need to have a structure. You need to have documentation, and you need to develop capacity. You need to develop capacity. So these ideas that I've shared with you, they are valuable information that will help you. Valuable information that will help you. Valuable information that will help you. Now, I have decided not to go into loans, because what I'm going to talk about next week will help me see, will help us see why loans are important. But we'll get into loans. Let me just give you a hint about loans. Should you, as an entrepreneur, start up entrepreneur, start off or start with loans? Personal opinion, no. If you are into business and you want to start, do not start with a loan. Don't start with loan. The alternative way to go outside of loan, you can only get a loan when you have started up your business. When you have started the business, you understand a few things, you know how to navigate through, you cannot request for a loan. That's better off. But do not begin your business with a loan. It's a bad thing, because you do not know what will happen. Most business, when they start off, experience a lot of challenges before they finally begin to flow well. So you need to run away from loans at the beginning. Look at other things, other areas like angel financing, venture capitalism, third-party guarantee, board of directors, board of trustees, all those things. Look at all those other ones, but do not go for loans. You can only go for loans when you have started your business. All right, when you have started your business. This is so very important for the entrepreneur, for the startup. I'm going to leave. So we'll look at 11 commandments of borrowing next week. And before when we're talking about the 11 commandments of borrowing, we're going to look out for what banks require. So when we're looking at loans, rather than go for loans, if you must get a loan, rather than go for loans from the banks and microfinance banks or financial institutions, why don't you go to family and friends? Before you go there. So we'll look at all of that next week. The commandments of borrowing, what banks and Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, World Bank, IMF, and a few other organizations, what they seek for. And then I'm going to be giving you specific websites you can go to access grants. All right, so you don't want to miss next week Monday. Next week Monday we'll be entering into June, right? But here's what's up. I will just do the last money class next week Monday, where we'll look at what websites to go to access grants and to know whether you're prepared for them. We'll look at all those. I'll give you the list of it, and probably type it so that you can look at them and all of that. So we'll also look at loans, and we're looking at the behavior of money, how money works. I'm going to be debunking some myths about money and helping you know that, look, wealth, we started off 2 weeks ago when we said that we compared pool versus cash flow. pool versus cash flow. Remember that if you're following our series, we talk about pool versus cash flow. Pool is important, pool is good, but you see, cash flow is more important than pool. So whatever it is you're doing, there has to be a cash flow. And so we'll teach more about money in the future. So that is pretty much everything I want to share with you today for the part 2. Part 3, we'll look at other areas, but of course I like to review on it again. And the review is from last week when we started. We said you can do third-party guarantee. Write that down. Pre-orders, critical. Venture capitalists, I'm sure by now you understand who a venture capital is. Angel financiers, we know what that is. Partnership, we spelled out how partnership rolls. Board of trustees, we know that board of trustees are involved in NGO or non-profits. Board of directors, that's for profit. Today we talked about importance of saving, having something at the back of your hand. We talked about selling your talents, your liabilities, even your assets. And for rich people who want to raise more cash, selling money, selling information. We talked about barter, exchanging value. Think along those lines to help you. We looked at grants. We started talking about grants. We're talking about grants. And then we looked at launching, a beautiful strategy to launch your work. And then loans. All right, so many other things you can learn that will help you to raise money. You don't have a money problem. What you do have is an idea problem. You don't have a money problem. What you do have is a network problem. You don't have a money problem. What you have is a strategy problem. Work on your strategy. For any money I want to raise, I know that I have to have structure, documentation, and capacity, and that has helped me. So I don't lack money. I don't lack money. If I lack money, I have not applied all the strategies. I don't have capacity yet. So you see, this mindset will help a lot of young people who are starting off. It will help you a whole lot. Worst case scenario, I sell. Worst case scenario, I look up for liability, I look up for something, I'll go out there and sell. And I'll sell aggressively. If I sell like crazy, I'll raise the money I'm looking for. If I sell, I'll save, and I'll save to invest. So that's pretty much all that we have to share with you. All right, so for those of you, on Wednesday, we're going to be going back to public speaking, and I'll be teaching business money here to attract people to come. And I like you to invite your friends and people to come learn. So much to learn. And then next week we'll be going on Wednesday, we'll be looking at public speaking sins or public speaking mistakes you shouldn't make when you speak in public, wherever you're speaking, or what mistakes you make. So you don't want to miss that for anything. And you can also join our community online on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on Zoom, and learn a whole lot. I'd like to thank you guys for being part of this today. If you have any questions, you can leave the questions on the thread. I will answer them as the time goes by. God bless you, and do have a great week ahead.